Hi, I'm Andrew McDermott, and you are in my 236 square foot apartment in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I had an apartment in another area of Toronto, and the apartment was pretty old and falling apart, and I was more looking for something based on location. I kind of like the idea of just moving into a smaller space where I wouldn't have to go out and get things to fill the space. When I first moved in, I didn't think I would last the year. I thought this will be a temporary thing before I find another apartment, and I'm almost 6 years here now, so you find ways to do things that you never thought were possible. Hey there, welcome to my apartment. Come on in. As you can see, I live in a very small apartment. This is 236 square feet. To our right here is basically what the closet area is. Down below is, of course, kind of a little mess of shoes, more of the ones that I wear every day. And then above these are a mess of shoe boxes which contain clothes that can't go here. Vertical space is going to be a big theme during this entire shoot, and you'll see that obviously it comes into play a lot. You have to make use of it, otherwise there's no way for you to store your clothes unless you put an armoire into the main part of the apartment. This former CD tower is sort of where I kind of keep doohickeys, sort of random stuff, coffee mugs, old CDs. I've got a Russian doll of Bill Clinton there. When you open it up, it's got all the people who were involved in his little scandal there. So, and again, vertical space, you just have to use a lot of hooks and stuff like that to hang up bags, bike helmets, stuff like that, so that they can be stored in proper fashion, not be in your way. Right here is the bathroom. So the 236 square feet basically includes the bathroom. It's basically keeping everything on the walls so that it doesn't get in your way. There's no real space on the floor. One of my favorite things that I've kept, I found this in the garbage when I was living in Ottawa, and I remember wondering what it was and then realizing it was a movie marquee. It was pretty clear that they had thrown it out in the trash. That is my piece of clutter, like one of the few pieces of clutter that I allow myself to keep, but it's one of those objects that'd be tough to replace, so I keep it around. This is the kitchen slash living slash sleeping area. The kitchen is more of a counter in the corner, so you know, it's got decent counter space. The stove is pretty good. I always joke that it's a tiny apartment, but they installed the biggest microwave in the world here, but it's nice to have it as an option. They did make pretty good use of cupboard space. On the top of the shelves, I basically made as much use of that as possible and sort of keep the miscellaneous junk that you don't have a spot for in the rest of your apartment. So, and then I got some blue bins up there just to sort of put the recycling in. My tool bag is right there. When you're in a space this small, it gets really, really dirty very quickly. So, nice thing about this apartment is it has like a shelf system for dishwashers. So all the appliances are all pretty small and tidy. For the fridge, they have given us European appliances, which are sort of apartment size. So, although it is very tall, it is not a huge space inside, but it's definitely enough space for one person. It's designed to make use of the vertical space, which it does right here. Books, you know, my Wi-Fi connection, you know, things like that all get put here. It doesn't get in my way. It's not space that I would have been using otherwise. So it's a good way to store those things. I am hugely into cycling, so I have a bit of a space situation with my bikes. So this one I mounted up on the wall. What I did is I took an old CD shelf from IKEA. I mounted that up with a hammer drill, and then I got a vertical bike holder from Mountain Equipment Co-op. I think it cost me $25. It's a really good way to hold this bike up. It's only about 14 pounds anyhow, so it doesn't really weigh anything down. Also, because you don't really have any table space, what I've done here is I've used this as a shelf for my remote control. So I've got a computer mouse, the TV remote, and a couple other remotes there, so it's a good storage space, keeps it out of the way. And this sofa here has a little storage hutch, so as you can see, I made pretty good use of space here, or at least I use it a lot. When you're in a spot like this, your sofa, if you want to have sit-down space, has to be your bed, so you either have to have a full-size bed, which you can have here, but then never have the space, or do a convertible situation, which is what I've chosen to do here. So what you do if you want to convert it into a bed is you just reach underneath there. They've got these pull straps here, so you just pull it up and it turns into a bed. And then once that's done, you just take some of the cushions there, put them at whatever end you want to rest your head, throw a blanket down, and that is your bed. IKEA. Yeah, I'm going to be very honest, it doesn't do your back any favors, but for the time being, as far as a pull-out bed goes, it's pretty comfortable. This is probably the corner of the apartment that I use the least, which is tough to believe because the space is so incredibly small, but this chair is bought for decoration only. I bought it in another apartment when I had more space, which I do not have right now. And this chair basically is served as a glorified stand for my laptop computer. Other than that, it sits there and does basically nothing, but my other two bikes, so this one's kind of in a state of repair, but you know, this bike rack, again, from Mountain Equipment Co-op, a really efficient way to store it in a small space. I'm a big Elvis Presley fan, so this is a book on the King. Pretty big book, so there's no real place to put it. Other than that, right here, this is kind of the media center, so vertical space, again, is a frequently discussed topic in this space. I'm a bit of a sneakerhead, as you can see, so I got a lot of my Nikes up here on the shelf. Basically keeps it where I can sort of see them, but also keeps them out of the way so that the front area, which is pretty small, doesn't get cluttered. And this is where having a hammer drill comes in handy. So these walls are all concrete. You can't just mount it up with silly tack, so basically you have to go and get a friend who has that type of equipment. Luckily, I had a friend who was able to help me out with that, so this shelf got mounted that way, the television set got mounted that way, this shelf here got mounted that way, and then everything else is free form, but you basically have to make as best use of the space as possible. I'm one of the few people who still insist upon having Blu-rays and DVDs, so this is why they're sitting right here, and eventually they'll probably get replaced with something else, but normally you wouldn't probably combine these things together. I use these shelves for clothing, so bottom is books, and then on the top I basically got some pasta jars. I used an island basically where all my fry pans and sauce pots go, knives, and that pretty much rounds up the apartment. Consumerism and marketing has really driven a lot of production of unnecessary retail, marketing, production, and availability. And I think when you live in an apartment like this and you don't have the space, I went from 650 to 950 to 236 square feet. When I had bigger apartments, a lot of the time I would just go and I would have to actually go out and get things that I didn't even really need just because I needed to have something to fill the space. You can't really afford to sort of be a pack rat. You just have to get rid of things when it's time to get rid of them. So learn how you can live without a lot. There's so much unnecessary purchasing and production. When you live in a space like this, it helps you prioritize. You prioritize and you live with the fallout from that, and that's it.